And you also have here where it's a two-story into one-story, so it's not that hard. It depends. So, you can have a one-story house and you got two steps going in the front door, three steps going down. You can have all kinds of things, tight hallways that make the move challenging, and will slow things down. Stairwells, it could be tight stairwells. There's all kinds of things. So, you know, it's not just because it's a second, two-story house into a one-story house 5 minutes away. It's not going to be a simple move necessarily. Okay, and we talked about that. It's not just a pretty easy move. Now you had said something about the deposit, and you said, hey, the deposit, the $100 deposit didn't count towards the total, and you didn't know about it. Look at the pictures, folks. Look at the pictures. It's clearly a separate line item. And when I spoke to Brianna on the phone, I said, look, I'm sorry, it says deposit. It's a logistics deposit. It's a separate line item of $100. Right, so this was an hourly rate contract, and we do hourly rates because we know there's going to be variables. So you may or may not, you may do more or less than you say, or be prepared, or there's a lot of variables. We do an hourly rate contract just because it makes things easier at the end, right? It's going to take what it takes, but the deposit, it's a separate line item. It says logistics deposit. It's actually, if you look at the picture below, it actually is under extra services or additional charges, actually is what it says, additional charges. So it's clear on the estimate and exactly where the tally of total is that it is an additional charge. I never told you it wasn't, and it's clearly there as we have a logistics deposit. So, excuse me, I did say, hey, I get how that can be confusing. Let me check and make sure you weren't double charged, right? Which you weren't, and this was on the phone. Because through our conversation, I told her I would give money back where it was fit, right? So let me go through the scenarios and find out where we're accountable and where we're responsible. So I'm going through these line by line, okay? Again, the final charges, and their biggest challenge was it cost $2,200, and we had estimated $1,600. Okay, so some of the things that happened through the move, and this is Brianna and I we're talking, and I had talked to my guys, and based on even things she was saying. So she said, hey, we even brought extra people, to help us. I go, what do you mean by that? And I had known. So when you, the customer, say you're bringing, you want us to move just the big stuff, and then, which happens a lot, you start adding the medium-sized stuff and boxes. So now we're taking boxes. Now we're taking things that could fit in your car. Now we're taking this and taking that. We're taking loose stuff, small stuff, medium stuff, and the big stuff. That's going to take more time. Also, Brianna had told me, that they filled up their own cars and had friends come help. Maybe it was sister or parents or something. So now I had estimated 3 guys. I had sent the fourth guy, which the fourth guy was the estimator, Pedro, and told him, at least go in the morning, because in my head I was thinking second floor, two-story to one-story. I had it backwards in my head. And I wanted him just to be there to make sure things went smoothly, right? And so he could see, run the job beginning to end. Now, he stayed all the way through, and I only charged him for 3 people and had 4 people there. Another thing so we took a lot more than just the big stuff. That's going to add time. Another thing that's going to add time is they were moving stuff themselves, right, through the move day. So they're putting stuff into their cars and had help putting stuff into their cars and putting stuff on the truck or whatever it was. So that's going to take time. Yes, even though you're doing it yourself, the simple fact that there's not just 4 of us, going in and out of the house and doing things, there's 8 of us, right? One of the things that Brianna had said is, one of the guys just was on the truck the whole time. Well, yeah, the guy who's loading the truck is playing a game of Tetris, and he's playing it with your furniture. And when we have 4 people, there's usually 1 or 2, one guy is probably just wrapping the whole time, just banging away. That's what he does well. There's another guy wrapping furniture, and there's one guy running stuff, to the truck. And then usually there might be sometimes 2 people, carrying stuff up and downstairs and bringing things to the truck. The guy on the truck, when there's a team of 4, the guy in the truck probably never comes off the truck unless he goes in and is saying, hey, give me that piece, give me this piece to play Tetris. He's playing a game of Tetris, and he is responsible. And 80% of damage in a move happens on the truck. So it's something to pay attention to, that I told her, yeah, that guy never came off, but that's what his job is. Furniture things are coming into the truck fast enough that he is trying to place them best that there aren't damages. Okay, so yes, things took longer. Okay, the move became more expensive because things took longer. Now, we're not responsible when things took longer because you had extra people there, right? That's not my fault. We're not responsible that things took longer because you took more than just the big furniture. That's not my fault either. It's going to take longer. That's just common sense. Um, Also, you'll see in the pictures and in some of the challenges was that we scuffed up the walls. Okay, and then you'll see in some of the pictures where it says freshly painted walls with scuffs. So the house was painted like the day before, which means it's fresh paint. So guys are sweating. It's the middle of the summer. I think it might have even been started to rain a little bit at the destination. It's real easy to come around the corner and brush a wall or something or whatever, and it's wet paint. You're gonna get smudges. It's wet paint. You're not fully dry. That's also going to slow us down because we have to be even more careful going through doorways because we can easily, brush a smudge on paint or something because it's fresh and we're wet, right? Wet with sweat. Now you'll see the pictures that they have of the damages on the walls through the stairwell. Now clearly, and you'll see a picture where I put our paperwork says, when there's stairs, we either wood stairs and even on the walls. If you don't have us protect them, which takes a little bit of extra time, not much, we can put up cardboard around on the stairwells, and we can put runners and stuff over the wood. If you don't have us take the time to put the additional wall protection and house protection, then I'm not responsible. We're not responsible for just little scuffs and things like that, right? Because if you don't want to make the investment in what it takes to protect the property from these things, and you want us to go quick, and you're on a budget, and you're saving time or saving money, and something happens, that's on you. So we talked about it. It's clearly in the paperwork that we're not responsible. And I even have sections where it says property protection. If you want to add this stuff, we can do it. We can do it and add a little bit of investment to just put the protection up, and we can do a little bit more of an investment if you want to have assurance, meaning you pay a little bit more, but if something happens, we repair it, right? And just know, if something were to happen, that's like our negligence, right? I'm gonna fix it. So, case in point, one time my guys are carrying, and I'm there that day. They're carrying a dresser, right? Long dresser going down the stairs. One guy's walking backwards, and there's a landing. He's coming up to the turn, and he slips on a step, right to the landing, and it's a wall, and his head goes boom through the drywall, puts a hole in the drywall, right? Um, Thank goodness it wasn't concrete. There was a little thing, and boom, puts a hole in. So my handyman goes the next day, we fix it, right? That just kind of happened. I'm not going to say, oh, that's not my fault, right? He slipped it, whatever. It's one of those things. I repair it. Something like, and look at the pictures. They're not even indentations, right? So when I spoke to her, I said, look, I saw the pictures of the scuffs and stuff. If you still have paint, which obviously you just had the house painted yesterday, you should still have paint. I'll go by and touch up the paint, right? And if anything had a little indentation, I have with me, I always bring, putty and stuff and can fix that super easy. It's a 5-minute repair. And she said, oh, no, it's fine. Our painter did it for free. Okay, so if that's the case, why is it coming up now? Anyway, I said I would fix it, right? So right off the bat, those things, again, nothing in there we're accountable for. Now, I will say, that Brianna on the phone said that she had told one of the guys, hey, you don't need to wrap that. Don't need to wrap that. She's like, I said it a couple of times and it still got wrapped. I said, okay. So here's the deal. I'm going to give you some money back for that amount of time that our guys wrapped things more, or wrap things you didn't want wrapped, or wrap things better than you were trying to get them to do. Okay? Got it? You would ask for that not to be done. They did it. It adds a little bit of time. Here you go. Here's money. It's a couple, and I refunded $200. Which is 2 men, 1 hour time, or 3 guys, 45 minutes, right? because it's $2.50 an hour for 3 guys. So I basically refunded. Not to mention, I had a 4th guy that I didn't charge him at all for the whole day. So that's a lot more money it would have been. So those things, right? So we were responsible. I took responsibility when she told me something happened that could have not happened, right? Could have been avoided. And I gave him that money back, right? That's why the refund was there. Now, the scuffs on the wall, no big deal. And also not really responsible for, and it's a 5-minute thing. That's not something that deems a refund or even an explanation. It's wet. Also note that my guys had said, while we're moving things out, other people were moving stuff, right? So if things are going up and down the stairs and people are going up and down the stairs and in and out, and there's, 2 other sets of people, how do you know that we're the ones that made the mark? So I didn't mind going and fixing and doing the repaint. Not a problem. And you can't really say that I'm responsible for it, or my company is, or my guys were, when other people are going up and down the stairs. Follow? Okay. So, loose items. There we go. Scratches. I talked about that. The pictures. Okay. Now, there's also in here where, let's go. I'm trying to do these in order, so I took little notes. Oh, here, it says, my husband was left to reassemble all the furniture. Well, your husband wasn't left to redo all the furniture. This is a difference in being truthful and honest. Yes, her husband, Mr. Halseki, did put the furnishings back together because they asked the guys to leave. They said it was okay. Now, just as they said, they bought breakfast, bought lunch. My guys are happy. They know that they've been taken care of. They're going to put the stuff together and they're going to hustle. Here's the other thing. My guys don't get paid by the hour. They get paid a working wage for a substantial amount of time in a day, right? They can get overtime, but it's really got to be longer for that to happen. So my guys are not milking the clock to get extra dollars, because they get paid by the hour. I don't do it that way because I know that they're not dogging it, right? So to run the clock up so they get more money. It's actually in their benefit to be more efficient, give the customer what they want, don't have any damages, then the customer's happy and they get a better tip, right? Because they're doing their job and I'm happy with that. I take the risk on how much profit there is in a day on top of the minimum, right? I live with that. That's something that other moving companies don't do. So, my guys would have stayed. Okay, all that damage. So, here's the thing. She said that they tipped the guys as well, right? And this was, Brianna didn't tell me the amount, but this is a conversation I had with Mr. Halseki in the morning. And he said, well, we tipped the guys $100 and we gave them breakfast, gave them lunch. And I just don't know why things took so long. And I go, hold on a second. Was anybody going slow? Was anybody dogging? Did you get the feeling that they were milking it or, not working hard or not efficient? Like going back, you see somebody going back and forth the truck without carrying tools or, going, why is that guy, he just spent 20 minutes doing nothing. Did any of that happen? He says, no, they were working hard. They kept going. They were hustling. They did a good job. They were super nice. Okay, so I said, okay. But if you're upset at why it took so much longer and you're looking for somebody to be upset, and they didn't do a good job at it, why did you give them $100? Like I'm trying, and buy them, give them $100 at the end of the day. Like the job's already done, but if you're not happy with them being fast or efficient or doing something wrong, and you gave them $100, it's hard for me to go back and say, oh, you guys could have done something better or different. You guys were dogging it because you gave them $100. You gave a nice tip. Like I'm trying to connect the dots going, if you weren't happy with their performance, but you paid for good performance. I'm trying to figure out what I was missing, right? Excuse me. And also trying to sniff that one out. And he said, and kind of got offended, right? Because there it is, right? Now all of a sudden I am, I'm on it.